The views that are expressed on What's on Edigga's Mind are that of the show's host and does not necessarily reflect the views of BS3 TV Network. Viewer discretion is advised. Yes, give it up, give it up. Welcome everybody to, that's right. That is right. Thank you. Give it up for another episode of What's on Edigga's Mind right here on BS3 TV. First and foremost, I want to say thank you because
you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. I appreciate that.
That's right. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me. And also got to give a shout out to my man, Mr. Ben. Thank you, sir, for welcoming me with open arms to this great network, BS3 TV. Make sure you check out everything BS3 TV by going to Facebook at BS3 TV Network, YouTube at BS3 TV Network. And if you're blessed with the Roku device, you can download the free app of BS3 TV Network and enjoy all the programming in the comforts of your own home. Today is a special day, good people. Today is Father's Day. Yes. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there, all the true fathers, all the father figures, all the stepfathers, all the people who have stepped in when other baby daddies decided that this was too much, I can't handle it, and that person stepped in and fulfilled that role. Because you don't necessarily have to be a biological father to a child. You could be a stepfather, you could be a father figure, grandfather, godfather, and fulfill that role. Just be very instrumental in your child's upbringing. And that's what I have came to realize, that I have been surrounded by a lot of male father figures in my life. Unfortunately, my father is not here in physical form, but he is right here. He is right here in my heart. And I just want to share some memories about my father today and how he prepared me to be a father. Yes, I am a father. I am a father of a 20-year-old son. I am the stepfather of a 23-year-old daughter and a 18. He'll be 18 in October, stepson, or son. I said daughter. Some people say stepson, stepdaughter. I say daughter and son because, a lot of times when you meet women, guys, when you meet women, or women when you meet men, they have kids already. And it's up to you. It's up to you. That is a package deal. A girl, it was funny because a girl that I was dating, she had 5 kids. And she said, this is a package deal. And I said, ooh, this is too much. But it was cool though. It was cool. But it's a package deal, and it's up to you if you want to stay or decide to go. And when I met my wife, Linnea, uh, she has a son and a daughter. And I said, well, this is perfect. I have a son, and it, you 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 have a choice to make, guys. If you want to stay or if you want to go, you know. But I chose to stay because of my love for her, and out of my love for her, gotta love the children. And there's a couple of guys that I know right now who's in that situation where you meet someone and they have children, and you just can't deny the children and just want to be with the woman, or some cases the man or the woman be the man and you just want to be with the man, or vice versa. You see where I'm going at with this. I Growing up for me, my father, uh, who is, like I said, who is deceased, um, I as a child, you just don't understand. You when you grow up, you see your father doing some certain things, the activities, the things that you know you and your father or your stepfather or your godfather, your grandfather, you and them share certain things. And at a young age, I was one of those children that I didn't understand a lot of things until I got older, you know. And then when I thought about it now, I said, man, that's why he did that. Or man, that's that saying that your father used to tell you all the time. It makes sense now because sometimes you say that same saying to your children. You see what I'm saying? And my father, uh, he worked hard. My father worked hard. You know, I saw my father on the weekends, and he was there. I didn't just see him on weekends. I knew my father. He was not too far away. If I called him on the phone, he answered the phone. If I needed something, he was right there. He picked me up on the weekends. Sometimes it was Saturday, Sunday, Friday. It graduated to Friday. My father was there. It was never a time where I needed my father and he wasn't there. Sometimes I used to get my brother to walk me to his job. He used to work at Cloverland Dairy. For those who are familiar with Baltimore, Cloverland Dairy. I don't know if it was just a Baltimore distribution center, but my father worked there. He was I don't know, to this day I don't know what my father did, but he worked at Cloverland, and there was a Cloverland Dairy. It was crazy because he worked where he lived on. I want to say it was Fulton Avenue, Fulton, Fulton, because some people from Baltimore, you know the street that I'm saying, but other people from out of town, this is like Fulton. When you say Fulton, you don't say Fulton, you say Fulton. You know, the Cloverland Dairy was on Fulton Avenue. Where he lived was right in the back of that damn dairy. Like, he can scratch his ass, roll out of bed, scratch his ass, and be right at work. Like, so convenient. And I remember days, he used to live like it was a house, it was a little apartment, and we used to come, and you come in and go down some steps, go in that door. And I know exactly, to this day, I know exactly where it's at, unless it's still there. I haven't, and that was on the west side of Baltimore. I'm on the east side, so if I don't have to go to the west side, I don't go to the west side. I stay on the east side. But I know the exact place of that apartment. Like, if we ride past it, it is right there on the side. and we used to go there. His breakfast was anything that he fixed the night before. Like if he had a big dinner and he had some stuff left over, that's what we eating for breakfast. Like if he was to pick me up in the morning, is take me to his house, feed me. He was famous for feeding me. And at my age, I think I was about, I say like 10, 11. And food, the food situation, if it ain't a burger or some pizza and some fries, I ain't eating it. He was more heavy on the biscuits and the rice and the smothered pork chop type of guy. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't too big on cereal. He wasn't big on cereal. I could tell you that. And he was not big on junk food. He wasn't big on burgers. He wasn't big on fries. Because I asked him one day, I was like, Dad, can we get a burger? Oh, he flipped out. My father flipped out. He was like, I ain't got mine. No, no, that ain't food. I said, can we go to McDonald's one good time? I can. There has never been a time when I was with my dad that we went to McDonald's. He was not a hamburger, French fries type of man. I can tell you that. He would fix big plate of food and put it right there in front of me. And since he worked at Cloverland, I had the orange juice, I had the orange drink, I had milk. I was good. I was good. But when my appetite started kicking in them teens, in my teenage years, I was eating. I was like, yeah, bring it on. The big friend. I couldn't wait to go over to my father's house when my appetite, because when you are young, like I said, if it ain't a burger or French fries, some pizza, if it ain't that, you ain't eating no smothered pork chops. You ain't eating no short ribs, and you ain't eating no chicken, baked chicken, and now chicken wings, fried chicken, yeah, maybe. But you ain't eating no healthy meals at 9, 10, 11 years old. But when your metabolism start to build and you start to be a teenager, and when your appetite start kicking in, because I remember I was eating everything in the house when I was a teenager. And I was like, damn, I can't wait to go to my father's house because he be cooking, he be burning. And little biscuits, not from scratch. He did open up that can, that pop, and you put them in the oven, with some butter. Stop. He was that person. And he didn't believe in cereal, for breakfast. I was like, Dad, you got any cereal? Never had. He would have some cereal. He would have cornflakes with some Cheerios. But he said, well, that's snack food for me. You see what I'm saying? And never understood that. Never understood that. To now. He will feed me. He would take me to now. Another thing he wasn't big on. He wasn't big on designer clothes at all. There was a thrift store. Everything that my father went to was in a radius. Everything like the barbershop, the thrift store and the barbershop. And I could not understand how this man could manage to walk out one door and into another door. Like I said, when you was young, you like, how the fuck did he do that? Like walking one door out the barbershop and you're right in the thrift store. I stayed in the thrift store. He was not big on designer clothes at all. And I think that's when Air Jordans first came out. And we went to the thrift store and we went to Payless. I remember it because I wanted to pay an Air Jordan so bad. And I said, Dad, I want to pay an Air Jordans. And it's funny. I still remember it to this day. We went to Payless, and they had those same shoes, the same exact color, but they ain't had the swoosh on the side. So that little white area right there, I had the high tops. That swoosh was not there. And I said, these ain't Jordans. These ain't Jordans. So, you know, he, like I said, he wasn't big on Lee's, Jordache, Levi's. He was not that person. He was not that person. So I went to school. Woo! That's when like I said, that's when name brands mattered in high school. Name brands mattered. And I went to high school. No, went to school. I think it was middle. It was either elementary or middle school, one of the two. And Kraken. That's when, ask somebody. Ask somebody about Kraken. Kraken is when they joning on your apparel, when they joning on your clothes, and man, they owe all day. Because I remember the dude's name. Like I said, remember like it was yesterday. Kareem. He lifted up my pants because I had them on, and I had some pants, and I did it purposely. I kind of pulled down my pants so it will hide the area where the swoosh was. The Nike swoosh. Kareem, was it Kareem James? I want to say Kareem James. I just said his old government. I don't even know if Kareem still living or not. He lifted up my pants leg, and that was my day right there. Right. Yeah. Oh, they cracked on your boys something terrible that day. All day. Right. All day. They was like, oh, you need to take them back and get that swoosh. What did you do? You forgot the swoosh? You left the swoosh in the store. Oh, they got you. They got on your boy. Something terrible. And I ain't want to wear them. But I had to wear them because they was my only shoes. Because my father was not that person. He was not a name brand person. He was not a cereal person. He did not believe in eggs and bacon in the morning. No pancakes, no waffles, nothing. No French toast, none of that. Sausage? He was not that person. You going to eat what he had the night before for breakfast. That's what you going to do. And like I said, we went to the barbershop. He got my hair cut religiously every week because I had a lot of hair, people. I don't have none right now, but I had a lot of hair, and my hair was in a bush. My hair was in a bush, and my hair grew back real fast. So if you cut it on Friday, the bitch is going back around about Wednesday or Thursday as a child. And he's like, man. But it wasn't no thing because haircuts back then was so cheap, you know. But he got my haircut religiously. Then, like I said, it was from the barbershop. And this was every weekend. This was the every weekend routine. Either Friday, it was either a Friday or it was either a Saturday. And then, like I said, in most cases, it was sometimes Sunday that I saw him. And we'll walk right out of the barbershop, right into the thrift store. And then maybe we'll go back to his house or we'll go to a friend's house or something like that in that order. And as a child, like right now to this day, you know, some people don't even do this, but after you get your hair cut and you still got the, you know, the hair around your neck and all that, I would have to take a shower. I would have to take a full shower in the bathtub. He would tell me to go in the bathtub and get all the hair. No, there wasn't no shower. It was a bath. Go run your water, go in there, take your clothes, take all your clothes. I don't know what. When you little, you never wanted to take a bath. Remember that? and he'll say, go in the bathtub and get all that hair off of you. And like I said, I had a lot of hair, so I had hair everywhere. And I would take the hair off my head, all wash my body, all that. And then whatever he got from the thrift store, that's what I'm putting back on. That's what I'm putting back on. And and like I said, sometimes I would either we would either go to a friend's house or we doing something. And then it was a event where he wanted to go and be around his family down South Carolina, North Carolina. I always get them confused, North Carolina, South Carolina. And he said, I'm leaving, you know. And I noticed that my dad lost a significant amount of weight. He was my dad was short. He was short. But he was a little thick. You see what I'm saying? But he lost a lot of weight. And but he came over to my house. Of course, I'm living with my mom, but he came over and he was like, I'm I'm considering moving. And I said, man, and I remember it was my mom wasn't there, but he came in, and I think my mom was at the market or something like that. And my brother was there. My brother David was there. And I didn't, I'm like, man, I'm not going to see my dad no more. So he left. He moved back downtown. He moved back downtown. He moved back down south with to be around his family, his brother, my uncle, all his, other brothers and my uncles, of course. And he wanted me to come down for the summer. And me and my mom, we didn't have the best relationship. And I had already planned where when I go down there, I ain't coming back. I packed enough clothes. Like I don't know. I I think I think my mom knew too because she packed everything in the suitcase. And I said, when I get down there, I'm gonna, spend a significant amount of time with my dad. But I'm gonna ask him, like, Dad, can I stay down here with you? You know, because when he got down there, they had a house for him, they had a car for him. He was straight, and the house that he was at, it was big. It was big. It was a big ass house. It had about 3 bedrooms. And I was going to ask him. I was, I remember going down there. He had picked me up, and we hit the road. And I had ample amount of time to ask them, but I just wanted to pick the right time to ask him, "Can I stay with you?" Because I ain't I ain't feeling it with my mom no more. I'm ready to go. I never got the chance to do that. I never got enough courage to ask them, "Can I stay with him?" Because we came right back, came back home, and that's when things turned for the worse because my father passed away in South Carolina due to I think I'm saying it right, esophagus. He had esophagus cancer. And I remember that day when he passed, I was coming back from the market and I heard the phone ringing, and me and my mom was coming back through the back door. And when you hear the phone ring at a young age, you drop everything, you run to the phone. Because during that time we didn't have answering machine. And I picked up the phone and it was my uncle Milton. He says, Ernest, in a faint voice. I really couldn't hear because, like I said, technology back then was not like technology here. You could call a person in Indonesia and you would swear down that they are right across the street from you. So in a faint voice, he says, "Is this Ernest?" And I said, "Yes, sir." How you doing, Uncle Milk? And I was excited to hear from him. He said, "I'm calling because I don't have uh very good news to share with you." And I said, "What's wrong?" He says, "Your father." I said, "What's wrong with him?" And he said, "Your father passed away." I said, "Man." And this was the first time I experienced death ever at 13. And I'm standing there like holding the phone, and he said, I'm sorry, so he says, "Your mom around?" And I said, "Yeah, she just coming in the door." So I gave the phone to my mother. They talked, and I went into the living room and just sat down because I'm trying to register whether what am I going to do at this point? How can I carry on? At a young age, at 13, my father is gone. So after my mom spoke to my uncle, she called my godmother. And I overheard the conversation, of course. And my mother asked my godmother, "Hey, uh, do you know if Ernest's father ever mentioned him having a large lump sum of money?" I walked back into the dining room and just looked at my mother and just shook my head. 13 years old, my father, the man who I looked up to, my role model, the person I look like, has just passed away. And you here wondering if my father had a large lump sum of money. How inconsiderate. So I went upstairs and I told my my brother. And then I told my sister. And then that's when this feeling of alone came across me. And also a feeling of regret that I did not ask my father if I could stay with him from that summer. Because maybe if I would have stayed with him, he would be alive today. Because I would have been there to take care of him. Now the preparation of trying to get to South Carolina is happening. Because of course my mom didn't have transportation. My mom didn't have transportation. We're trying to figure out how are we going to get down to Williamston, Williamston, North or South Carolina. Like I said, I to this day I still get it confused. So if anybody comment and clarify that, I appreciate you. So I asked my brother David. I said, "David, can you humbly at 13, can you take us down South Carolina?" My brother's like, "You know how to get down there?" And I said, "Yeah, at 13, I know how to get down there." I I didn't know how to get down there. And this was way before GPS, where you could just punch in a number and you can just punch in a number and our address and GPS to just take you there. We didn't have that luxury um back then. But I don't even think it was ever thought of. So my brother said, I don't know, Ernest. You don't know how to get down there. I can't take you. And he had transportation. He had a car. So that's stress at 13 is trying to figure out how I'm gonna get down there. Then my mom again says to my uncle, we need a way down there. So my uncle wired my mother some money. So she is beating her brain. And mom, I love you. I, and my mom is deceased as well. My mother is pulling out her hair trying to get to this money. More so than trying to figure out a way. Well, I kind of understand it now, but back then I'm like, you're pulling your hair out, trying to figure out how you're going to get to this money, but you're not trying to figure out a way to get get me down there for my father's funeral. So my next door neighbor friend has a car, so we went to Western Union. So again, Cash App, Vimeo, Apple Pay, all of that was not around, of course. Western Union. Um, so my uncle wired my mother some money. She had to go get it. But all in that time, my godfather called and said, "You can ride with us because, of course, we going." I'm like, "Thank you," you know. So I'm trying to get in contact with my mother to tell her, "You don't have to get the money. Mr. Jones, which is my godfather, he's going to take us." And my mother's reply was, "Well, I still got the money." Again, strike two. So at 13, we're on my way to my father's funeral. And we get there and we stayed, of course, in my father's house. When he came down there, he we stayed at my father's house. And the first time experiencing death, it was okay when we got there. Um, and when we got there, of course, we checked in and I mean not checked in, but we got settled and everything and they laid out the whole itinerary of the funeral and things of that nature. Then came the funeral and then seeing people that I never seen before and people coming up to you. And I remember I was the last person to see my father. Everybody else went, and I guess that's a down south thing. Everybody seen my father. This lady, she was like right there, and she was right there, and she was appointed to stay with me because of my age, and I, everybody saw my father, and then I went to see my father in the casket. And right after that, right after the funeral, I have this thing where if I am overly stressed, if I am overly nervous, I am not eating at all. And I remember it was a situation where my father had another child, which was a daughter. And I remember her coming to me. So she walks outside with me, she's talking to me. Again, everybody's trying to get me to eat. And I'm like, no, can't eat. Everybody's saying because they used to call my father Doc, Mr. Doc, or Doc. And they said, "That's Doc's son. That's Doc's son." Because I look just like my father. Funny. They say, that's Doc's son. That's Doc's son. So all these random people coming up to me. And I says, I don't know these people. Again, I'm nervous. I'm stressed. I don't eat when I'm stressed. After the funeral, we come back to the house. So I'm with so I had two sets of godparents. The people, the Mr. Jones and Mrs. Jones that lived right next door to me. And then I guess that was on my mother's side. And then on my father's side, I had Mr. Ursay and Miss Ursay. They was my godparents. Don't ask me how. They used to live in Cambridge, Maryland. That's all I know. And Mrs. Ursay came. Mr. Ursay didn't come. And she was in the house with us. So it's me, my mom, and Miss Ursay. And I can't sleep because, like I said, this is the first time I experienced death. Because the whole time I'm thinking my father is in this house somewhere. I did not sleep, and I couldn't sleep because of my mother snoring. I love you, Mom. That's all I'm gonna keep saying. But my mom sounded like a truck in my ear. She sounded like this. That's how my mother was sounding. And of course, you can't sleep with that in your ear. And every move that I made, she would grab me. It was one of them situations. I remember getting up in the middle of the night. I had to go to the bathroom. She had to get up with me. I was thirsty. I wanted some water. I had to go out to the kitchen. That whole night, I did not sleep at all. I was just looking around the rooms, looking at the walls. I had the lights on. It was crazy. So then we make the travel back home. And my godmother, I remember my godmother saying, yeah, your father was in that house. He was somewhere in that house. But of course, he's not going to come to you because he knew that you would be scared or afraid. So yeah, it was just crazy. That whole experience was crazy. Before I go, I just want to share something with the fathers, new fathers, fathers to be, stepfathers, grandfathers. If you're a father, love on your children. Be there for your children. Listen to your children. Because the more you interact with them, the more they are acceptable to you. And I just want to take this moment to tell my father I love him. You have always been a role model to me, Dad. And I know that you're looking down on me smiling. Some things that I do, you may question, but I come from a good place. I love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day to all of you out there, all the fathers out there. Peace. And thank you for watching.